Well, the storms of 1984 simply don't seem to pass. It's been so many years and they keep coming to hit us this way, that way, over this issue, over that issue. There are controversies persisting over Operation Blue Star itself, and of course, over the Delhi killings of 1984 after the assassination. We've had some token shows of justice here and there, but way short of full justice. Anger over that persists. It is very live today, and disputes over the assassination itself. On that, we have Sat Pamraji with us, a very veteran, very widely respected Sikh writer in Britain for many years. He has been very close to people in government in both Britain and in India, very well networked with the Sikh community here. And his new book suggests that Beyond Singh, the lead assassin of Indira Gandhi, had links with some Khalistanis here. Sat Pamraji, what can you tell us about this?
Well, I think I have written everything in my book, what I know. Secondly, if you put me any question about it, I will answer it. Whatever I know is very sad for India, for Sikhs, because of only a few, couple of Sikhs who, for certain other reasons, were trying to make a fool of other Sikh people who are very gentle, sacrificing people, and who uh, give their life for others. They don't take life.
Yes, but let's go back to the specifics of Beyond Singh and the assassination. Beyond Singh, who assassinated Indira Gandhi, was in London in 1983. And did you meet him then?
Well, in 1983, I didn't know that he's here, but when I went to the hotel near Harrods to pick a friend of mine, Harvans Mathur, he used to be the in charge for news for uh, Indian channel, the main government channel, and I just, because he's my old friend, I went to pick him to get him to my house and have a meet with him. When I went over there and we got together and then start getting ready to leave, he just said, "Well, this gentleman wants to go to South Hall. If we can give him a lift." And
And this gentleman was Beyond Singh.
he was Beyond Singh, and he is the bodyguard of Mrs. Gandhi. So I just gave him a lift, and up to South Hall, nothing much was talked or discussed. But when I dropped him near the railway station of South Hall and saw him moving towards a place, a paper office,
Des
Des
Perdes.
Perdes, Des Perdes, then my suspicion arose.
Why would you be suspicious that he went to the Des Perdes office? Is it because he said he's taking the train back into town from
No,
South?
no, he was not going to take any train back. He didn't tell me that. I was surprised that he came to Southall to go to Des Pradesh office, which was known for all sorts of meetings of the extremists and Khalistan movement.
Tarsem
So that
Singh
was the
Purwa.
anxiety. As I
Tarsem
was
Singh.
also running a newspaper, so naturally it was in my mind that why it is happening.
The editor was Tarsem Singh Purewal, and he was a strong supporter of Khalistan, right?
Openly, he was a supporter of Khalistan.
And you saw Beyond Singh headed to his office.
I saw him entering his office. Not only that, first I dropped him, then I took, but Harvan's mother knew and we shared with each other why this man has gone over there. And I did tell him also that please, you let the people know in Delhi.
Before we get to that, you saw Beyond Singh, the assassin of Indira Gandhi, enter the offices of Tarsem Singh Purewal, who was, as we all know, a very strongly anti-Indian Khalistan leader in London. And once you saw that, did you report this to anyone?
No, I just, at that time, I just discussed it with Mr. Harvan's mother, who was the head of news in Doordarshan. And later on, the next evening, I spoke to Gyani Singh,
the president.
and that's all.
So you spoke to the president of India about this.
Yes, I had direct contact with him.
Yeah, we know.
Similarly, I had direct contact with Mrs. Gandhi, but I could not get through to her
But you
because
spoke.
Ganiji told me to talk to her directly.
So you spoke with Gyani Zail Singh Ji, who was the president of India. You
Yeah,
also, of course, as we know, you knew Indira Gandhi personally, and
yeah,
Zail Singh said that you should speak to Indira Gandhi.
directly.
So then, what did you do?
Then I asked them, and then I was put to Mr. Dhawan, and then my meeting was arranged the day she was assassinated. It
Sorry,
took a long time for
sorry to
me
stop
to go
there.
to India to
Yeah,
meet
just
her.
no, just on the timeline there. This was in '83, and you spoke to Gyani Ji a day after you had dropped Byan Singh to
Yeah, yeah.
this office. And when was your meeting set up with Indira Gandhi?
On the day she was assassinated. I
Well,
was there on the premises.
so we are talking about a year in between. Did
Yeah,
you think
that's
it
right.
took a
Yeah,
year?
it took that long
No, it took that long for what?
to have the appointment with her,
And so through Mr. Dhawan, you were looking for an appointment with Indira
Mrs.
Gandhi,
Gandhi.
and it took a
Mrs.
year to get
Gandhi.
it.
Yeah,
And it came on the day she was assassinated.
I was there because I was a government guest, and made the arrangements in Ashoka Hotel for me to stay. And a day before, I booked myself over there, and then the following day, I went to report to Mr. Dhawan to tell him that I'm here now. Now let me know about the meeting.
Sir Pamaraji, it was in '83 that you would have
Yeah,
spoken to Mr. Dhawan to request a meeting with Indira Gandhi.
yeah,
And Dhawan, as we all know, was her right hand man. Did you tell
of
her what
course.
you
Yeah,
wanted to see her about?
pardon?
Did you tell Dhawan what you wanted to
No, I
see?
didn't tell him anything. I said something I have discussed with Gyaniji, and he has asked me to contact Mrs. Gandhi directly.
And the appointment to you was given for the 31st of October,
Yes,
1984.
pardon?
So the appointment was on 31st of October 84.
The day she was assassinated. What was the day? 31st?
Yes. So then, as it happened, you were
No,
trying.
the appointment was not on the 31st. The following day, on 31st, I went over there just to report that I'm in the country now. I'm here now.
No, I think there's a question here about a date or two here and there, but
Yeah.
the point is that you are saying that you were given an appointment with her as it happened, on the very day that she was assassinated,
Yes,
and it took a year to get that appointment. It was given on that date,
that's right.
so that the warning that you had come to deliver was too late
It
by
was
a
late.
few hours after having waited for a year.
And that is what is hurting me all this time, all these years, and will remain with me for some time
But
till I'm.
through the course of 1 year, did you not consider reporting this to somebody else rather than Indira Gandhi herself?
It was such a delicate matter. To talk to any third person was not possible for me because I knew how many enemies I have created in this country and how many times a friend of mine saved my life being killed or assassinated by others, by Khalistanis.
Did Bayan Singh meet other Khalistanis as well, other than Tarsem Singh Purawal?
No, I can say only one thing. I saw him going to that office, and from outside, I saw, because I recognized some people, I saw one person with white turban and one person without turban sitting over there, and of course, Puriwal. There were three people.
You recognize the other two?
No, not one. I recognize Puriwal and the other Sikh person, but the third person I could not recognize
Who was this
because
other person?
I was watching it from far.
No, when you were watching it from far, was this from outside? You were looking into Tarsem Singh Puriwal's office?
If you come from the station
Yes.
of Southall
Yes.
towards Beaconsfield Road,
Down the bridge.
you can from the left you can see what is and who is there.
Yes, you can. You can. From that overbridge.
Yeah,
Yes. And so who was this? So Tarsem Singh Purwal was there, and there's
and
one other person you recognize. Who was that person?
Doctor Sahab, Doctor Jagjit Singh,
Jagjit Singh Chauhan.
of course,
He was, of course, the self-proclaimed president of Khalistan, as he
of
liked to
course,
call himself.
of course. All this movement was made by him in this country. He was a pioneer of the movement.
And so Byan Singh, who then assassinated Indira Gandhi, was in a meeting with the self-styled president of Khalistan and Tarsem Singh Purawal, a known Khalistani, and you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
You see, 83 was, of course, pre Blue Star. Um, one would think that anger was provoked by Blue Star coming in June of 84.
Yeah,
Why do you think Byan Singh may have been Khalistan inclined even a year earlier?
the reason for that is simple. What he did at the end, it didn't grow. It didn't happen just overnight. He must have been groomed. He must have been told what to do, and it may have taken some time to do it.
Of course, there
People
was
don't
always.
all of a sudden go and do such things.
Yes, there was a lot of unrest in Punjab
Yeah.
even before Blue Star, and Blue Star was only the culmination of it. So,
Exactly.
are you suggesting that on the basis of what you saw, as you describe it, Byan Singh was Khalistan inclined? At least there were indications that he was well before that,
Yes.
and that this was something known to you, and that you saw for yourself, that you sought to communicate, and as it happened, the
You
date on which
see,
you were to
one
meet
thing
Indira
was
Gandhi was the day she was killed.
one thing was known to me that he visited that office, which is a full of Khalistani movement, center of Khalistani movement, and all activities over there were nothing but the Khalistan movement.
That
And he
certainly was
visited
that.
that, and he met those two people whom I know very well, and they were pro Khalistani, they were working for Khalistan.
Tarsem Singh Purawal was shot dead outside that office a few years later,
Yes,
several years later. When was this?
and up to now, nobody knows why he was shot. Nobody up to now, even the
Yes.
authorities over here, don't know why was he shot.
And there has been no arrest.
There was no arrest.
So, at what stage do you think you could have done more? You say you live with a regret that you did not communicate this time. What would you have done differently if you could?
You see, I'm a writer. I write poetry also. So emotionally, I was very upset for some time because uh, I'm I was very close to Gandhiji, and few things which he has discussed with me and told me and guided me are very valuable to me, even in my private life. Therefore, thinking that, and I worked for Mrs. Gandhi in Chikmagalur when she was conversing over there. I went there with A.P. Sharma, who was later on 17 Akbar Road staying, and he took me with him. And then I met Mrs. Gandhi a number of times, and few times we exchanged our views. So I have a respect for them. Out of respect and all those, and with my age, at this stage, this was something in my mind all the time, which I wanted to share. which I wanted to say. And that's the reason I wrote this book.
You know, finally, we know that there was a lot of investigation following the assassination, whether there was a conspiracy, and no inquiry commission, no police investigation could conclude that there was indeed a conspiracy. Your book and your testimony, let's call it that, now suggests that there may well have been a conspiracy where Bayan Singh was indoctrinated or supported in other ways by Khalistanis based in the UK. Do you believe that the investigation should be reopened?
It should be reopened. And secondly, she was assassinated on the 31st. A day before, because of time difference, the celebrations took place in front of Dominion Cinema in Southall about this thing before she was assassinated even.
Well,
So
we are not very
unless
certain of
the
the
people over
timeline.
here were connected with it, how could they celebrate?
Well, then we raise the question that there would have to be a very large number of people involved in the conspiracy to assassinate, who then began celebration beforehand. But that we are not very convinced about by way of timeline and by way of the dates on which these shocking celebrations took place. But certainly, there are questions and very disturbing questions you have raised, Satpamraji, uh, through your book. Thanks very much for sharing these thoughts with us. And certainly, I'm sure people in India will be looking very carefully at possibilities of reopening this investigation.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Satpamraji.
Thank you very much. Bye.